What's up, NASCAR racing fans? You're watching the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And today the modifieds are going to be qualifying for the Coca Cola 600, one of the crown jewel events, the longest race of the year. If you had fun watching the modified all-star race, get ready for another awesome show. We got 31 of the fastest NASCAR modified diecast on the internet. Ready to rock and roll for the pole. The Owlman, he's out for repairs. We'll see a new car for him at Indy. Taking his place is going to be Far Out Jay, your Coca Cola 600 winner for the stocks. Has a chance to race for the poles and not just be a field filler. But he's got his work cut out for him. He's going up against Clyde, our points leader, who weighs almost 100 grams. That's almost twice as much as Far Out Jay. Clyde gets a bumper length lead heading out of turn number 1 and cautions out for an El Reco. Far Out Jay will have to race his way in as a field filler. Because he won the stock race, he'll probably just be a field filler anyway. So up next, it's Coop going up against Burt Buzzard for Cut Rock Creek Racing. Burt Buzzard, your Le Mans winner. Burt Buzzard's opened up a half a track segment lead. Coop stalls on the guardrails, and he'll have to race his way in the last chance race against the stocks. And now let's see if his teammate Big Play can avoid a similar fate. He's going up against Misty G for Puffs Racing, and they are side by side heading into the turn. Misty G with the inside advantage side drafts him, takes the lead, and throws a block to maintain it. And that was an effective block. We're going to have to zoom in to see whether Big Play made it across the line or not, and it looks like he didn't. Yes, he did not cross the line. He'll have to race his way in the last chance qualifiers against the stocks as well. And up next, we have Lucky Jackson going up against Chef Squid. Lucky Jackson, your all-star race winner, moves him up to 4th in points, carrying that momentum to a track segment plus win over Chef Squid. And up next, we have a pair of Australians, Gale Force for Barora Bangers and Lord Shank for Lord Shank Racing. The gates are down, and Lord Shank gets a pretty good start, keeping up with Gale Force until they reach the fat track. Gale Force is about a car length, 2 car length lead until they exit the turn and Lord Shank gets loose, still crosses the line. That's a good starting spot for Gale Force. And up next, we have Sloppy Bear going up against Harry Hoon. Harry Hoon lets the hammer drop right away. He's got a half a track segment lead, but he takes the turn too fast, cautions out for an El Reco. Sloppy Bear slides right past him. He'll be moving on to the next round, and now Harry Hoon's in danger of missing the race. And now it's time for Puff to go up against Mike Honcho, and look at Mike Honcho. The gates come down, he launches it in 4th gear at a car length lead before they even get to the bottom of the ramp. Puff makes up a lot of ground on the fat track, but he throws a block. And now it's back-to-back upsets in round 1. Let's see if Bobby Allison can do the same with Gray. The gates are down. They're side-by-side halfway down the ramp. Neither of these drivers are giving the other an inch. And now heading into turn number 1, the margins are still razor thin. Look at these guys go. Bobby Allison finally takes it by squeezing Gray into the guardrail, causes him to stall millimeters from the line. That was such a great segment. We're going to replay it. Still heading out of turn number 2. We have no idea who's going to win it. And look at that expert move by Bobby Allison. A far cry from the guy who could not stay on his own 4 wheels at Daytona. Just masterful driving there. Let's see if one of these guys can do the same. Lord Raymond going up against Christie. And halfway down the ramp, this is looking like a carbon copy of the last segment. They are nose to nose, still trading paint heading into the turns. Lord Raymond gets the advantage with a reverse side draft in turn 2. He'll be moving on, but he really had to fight for it. Now it's Riot Isaac going up against Christie's teammate Giorgio. And Giorgio gets shot out of a can and gets to the fat track before I can even finish the intro. Riot Isaac tries to catch up. Giorgio slams the door shut before he even gets to his bumper. And our next round, we have Casey Kane going up against Po Boy, our All-Star Open winner. Got a podium in the All-Star race, and he is riding that momentum to a 3-car length lead before they exit the turns. Now he gets loose, but manages to hold the block just long enough to cross the finish line before flipping. And now we have Baby Richie on the outside lane. This is the one guy in the bottom half of the points nobody wants to race. He won the last regular season race, his second start in his new car. And it's more of the same for Baby Richie. Jumps out to almost a track segment lead, heading out of the turns, and he just keeps getting faster as the lap goes on. Williams spins out, slides across the finish line in reverse, trying to make something happen. And coming up now is our Daytona 500 winner, Heather, going up against Bill Z Bub. And Heather opens up a car length lead before they head into the fat track. Both of the cars holding steady as they go into the turn, nobody gaining or losing ground. Heather moves on to the next round. Up next, we have Gavin McSplage in the 999 going up against J-Bo, hot off his first career podium and an all-star race appearance after winning the fan vote. J-Bo clears Gavin McSplage heading into the turn, throws the block. Gavin gets loose trying to make something happen, and J-Bo moves on to the next round. And now we have Charlie Verney going up against Sparky Racer. Side by side heading towards the bottom of the ramp. Sparky Racer gets a half a car length lead over Charlie. Clears him in the middle of the turn, moves up into the upper lane to throw a block. He'll be moving on, getting a decent starting spot. And up next we have Gaza going up against Elton Sawyer. Gaza has the record for most second place finishes without a win. Let's see if he can change that this week. Having a lap like this to get a decent starting spot will make that job a whole lot easier. And now we're going to move on to the losing drivers brackets. The drivers that lost their first round race still finished their lap. Will be facing each other to get a better starting draw. Winning this race could mean the difference between starting in 16th or 17th and starting in 29th and 30th. Now Puff just puts a right hook against Chef Squid's quarter panel, pins him up against the guardrail for him to lose enough momentum for Puff to take the lead, take the win, avoid starting in the back. And now it's going to be Puff's teammate going up against Lord Shank. The gates are down. Lord Shank gets a half a car length lead over Riot Isaac heading into the split track. Riot Isaac makes up that difference, gets all the way past him before they head into the turn, throws a block in the upper lane and cruises his way out of the bottom bracket. And up next we got William, our stock points leader, going up against Christy for G-Force Racing. Christy coming off her best career finish at Sonoma, trying to keep that momentum going, avoiding a bottom 10 starting spot. She gains quite a bit of distance in the turns. Meanwhile, William drives off the outside of the track. And up next, we have Charlie Verney going up against Casey Kane. And Charlie Verney just got shot out of a cannon there. Casey Kane isn't giving up just yet. They're side by side heading into the turns. Casey Kane slams him into the outside wall. Charlie gets loose trying to make something happen, but he will have to start in the back. And up next is Charlie Verney's teammate, Bill Z. Bub, going up against Elton Sawyer for Mark Racel Racing. And the gates are down. Elton Sawyer's only got a half a car length lead, not even that, like a bumper length, heading towards the bottom of the ramp. They are still not giving each other an inch heading into the fat track. Now they're heading into turn one, and the Rocket Man, wait, that's the wrong Elton, gets a slight advantage heading into the turns, but coming out, Bill Z. Bub plants his bumper into the back of Elton Sawyer's car to force a mistake. It doesn't work. Elton Sawyer avoids the bad starting spot. And since we had too many double DNS, we need one more car into the losing drivers bracket. Whoever wins this is going to be part of it and get locked into the race. Gray takes a tumble off the side, and Harry Hoon will be starting on the outside up against Gavin McSpladge. Now, of course, those other three drivers are going to have to race their way into the last chance qualifier. And judging by their starts, it looks like Harry Hoon won't be starting too far ahead of them. But wait a second, Gavin McSpladge just had enough distance to throw a clean block. But Harry Hoon catches up once they're on the flat ground. Now they're side by side. Harry Hoon reverse side drafts Gavin McSpladge. What a comeback. He wins that by almost a track segment. And now we are finally back to the pole competition. And we're kicking off the Sweet 16 with Clyde from Uncle Elvis Racing going up against Sloppy Bear, the team boss of Sloppy Bear Racing. And with Sloppy Bear Racing today, these roles are reversed. Usually it's Gray that's still alive at this point in the competition. Sloppy Bear actually had a decent start this time. But Clyde caught up and now has a 3-car length lead heading out of the turns. And he continues to gain more and more ground as they head to the finish line. Clyde will be moving on to the Elite Eight. And for our next round, we have Burt Buzzard in the 56 for Cut Rock Creek Racing going up against Mike Honcho for Dog Squad Racing. And they're side by side. And it's not till they hit the entrance of turn one before Burt Buzzard gets a car length lead. And Mike Honcho is actually keeping it close, but it looks like a little too late. Both your championship contenders now moving on. Up next, it's Bobby Allison going up against Misty G. Take a look at this. They are side by side. Bobby Allison's got a slightly longer hood, and that's all the margin he has. And they're about to head into the split track. They are still side by side. Misty G attempts a reverse side draft from the inside. It terribly backfires. She gets loose, and Bobby Allison runs away with it, gains half a track segment in the turns. The first upset of the round of 16, and let's see if Giorgio can make it to second. He's got a tall task ahead of him since Lucky Jackson won the All-Star race at this very same track, identically configured. And it's Lucky Jackson that's got 3/4 a car length lead heading into the turns. And with the inside lane advantage, he expands that lead further down the track he goes. A great qualifying day for Lucky Jackson. And up next, we have our last regular season winner, Baby Richie, going up against Gale Force, our winner at Texas. And much like Misty G, an attempted reverse side draft backfires, but she is still glued to Baby Richie's car. And we got to show you the replay of this one. Baby Richie. Gale Force does not give up or go spinning. Pins Baby Richie against the wall, but he recovers there at the last second. What an incredible lap that was. And now let's see if Lord Raymond and Sparky Racer can live up to that. And it's looking like a good one heading into the turns, but Lord Raymond just runs away with this in the second half of the lap, wins by a track segment. And up next, we have Gaza going up against Po Boy. Two guys have been overshadowed by their teammates so far this year, and they're both entering this race with a giant chip on their shoulders, and it is showing. They're hitting each other, reverse side drafting. What a violent lap. Gazza almost loses it, but Po' Boy's past the finish line at that point. And up next, we have Heather and J-Bo going up against each other. When you're filming, these two cars are pretty hard to tell apart if they're in the same segment. And right now, they're just one big yellow blob heading into the turns. But Heather gets the advantage on the bottom. J-Bo is not making it easy for her. Tries to spin her out, but just bounces right off of her. Heather moves on to the Elite Eight. And now the Elite Eight is beginning its Clyde versus his teammate Bobby Allison. And despite the differential in the point standings, Bobby Allison's not making it easy for Clyde. And look at that, a double DNF. Bobby Allison goes flipping off the track while Clyde lands on his roof. They'll both end up in the bottom half of the bracket, which means the highest ranking driver to finish second will move on. And that might be Baby Richie, as Burt Buzzard uses the inside lane to his advantage. Baby Richie puts up a valiant effort, but it'll be Burt Buzzard moving on for sure to the final four. One driver it won't be will be Heather, because she stalled on the split track. You got to finish the lap to be in consideration. Lucky Jackson cruises an easy victory for him. And let's pivot the HSL blimp to their track. Yep, that's Heather's car. Don't know how she did that. She has a win this season. But up next, it's Lord Raymond and Po' Boy, and they both want it really bad. And Lord Raymond gets the inside advantage right as they head into the turns. And Po' Boy gets to stay on anyway because he's higher in points than Baby Richie. And right now, he's giving Burt Buzzard a run for his money. Half a car length lead at the bottom of the ramp. They're side by side heading into the fat track. And look at that hit Burt Buzzard delivers onto Po' Boy. Absolutely brutal hit. Took advantage of other drivers wrecking out of turn 2 in the All-Star race and the subsequent retaining wall being moved. And just tossed him at the worst spot possible. Now here's his teammate. He is motivated for revenge. Lord Raymond doesn't really have anything to do with it, but he wants to get into the finale just to get a free hit on Burt Buzzard. The two of them have raced against each other since the sub-4 RA days, but he gets a little loose coming out of the gate. And the two of them are still neck and neck halfway down the ramp, and they are real evenly matched. It's still anybody's race. Lucky Jackson won the All-Star race, but Lord Raymond dominated his segment and led the most laps. But nothing was going to stop Lucky Jackson there. He gets his wish. He's going up against Burt Buzzard. One lap to settle it. Who's going to get the pole position? The gates are down, and Lucky Jackson gets a bumper length lead straight out of the start gate, and it's not changing at all as they head to the bottom of the ramp. They are still side by side heading into the fat track, and nobody seems to have the advantage. Heading into the turn, Burt Buzzard gets the upper hand, slight bit of contact, and now Burt Buzzard is pulling away to take the pole position. And now it's time for the last chance races. The top two finishers get in, and we have the drivers that wrecked during qualifying going up against the top finishers of the stock race. And it looks like Gray might be in trouble here, but he retakes second from Charlie, throws the block to maintain second place. And up next, we have Big Play going up against Coffee Tar. Crazy Ruby, Skeeter Davis. This is going to be a good segment. And Coffee Tart takes a car length lead over Big Play and the rest of the pack. And somebody goes flying. I think that's Skeeter Davis. I'm pretty sure he's locked in anyway as the highest ranking stock in points. That doesn't make it, still gets in. And finally, Coop is going up against the McDonald twins, William and Clyde, which, of course, only one of those cars are going to get in, and Chase Elliott's going to drive it. But it's the outside lane with N-Count and Alicia Lunatic that gets the advantage. And look at Coop body slam that car off the track like it's Derrick Henry. Unfortunately, he leaves the track too, the only mod, the DNQ for the race. And here are the position draws, the drivers that lost in the first round, second round, and so on. Miss TG, J-Bo, and Gale Force get good draws for their segments. Casey Kane gets the best draw out of the losing bracket. And for the field fillers and last chance cars, it's tough luck for Big Play Slay and Chase Elliott. They'll be starting towards the back. And let's take a look at the starting lineup now. Burt Buzzard, of course, is your pole sitter. Front row spot for Baby Richie. Lucky Jackson and Heather. Great starts for Bobby Allison and Mike Honcho. Sloppy Bear starting right behind the leader. Same thing for Sparky Racer. A tough break for Gray, who's starting towards the back. 6th place in his segment. Sawyer and Skeeter Davis are in for the highest finishing drivers in the stock race that didn't get top 2 in their last chance races. And that's a technicality because Chase Elliott can only drive one car. He can't replicate himself like Jake Gyllenhaal in the last Spider-Man movie. Tough break for anybody named William. These two went from competing to top 10s early in the season to starting in the back row. They may be starting to show signs of expired graphite. There will be a re-graphiting for everybody after Indianapolis. And if you want to see your cars on my channel, for the last 4 races of the season, usually I keep 2 or 3 races worth of content filmed at all times. Because if you know anything about Pennsylvania, the weather's bipolar. There's not a lot of good filming days. It's usually either raining or way too humid out. I have both Indianapolis races filmed. I have Darlington for the stocks filmed. So there's 4 stock and 5 modified races left to go in the season. So if you want to see your cars on the channel for the 2025 season, we got about a month window left before I film the Darlington mods and the Firecracker 400 over the course of Labor Day weekend after all of my fantasy football business is done. So if you want to see your cars on my channel before the season ends, send them to HSL Diecast, P.O. Box 7, Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, 18091. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see yous out there on the track.